Welcome to the People's Economy Podcast, the only podcast where we keep it all the way real. Our mission here is to educate you, empower you with knowledge. One company that we have mentioned on the show for the stay-home economy was actually Peloton. And actually today, Wall Street has been raising the price on Peloton. And they're noticing things like new trends like 50 to 80,000 people in joining in and tuning into one like workout class at a time. This is a new trend. So a gentleman actually raised his price target from like $59 to like 109 today because they're saying if 50 to 180, 50 to 80,000 people are joining the class now, they're thinking out like in 5 years. I mean, 1 million people are going to join one workout class. So they're pricing these the future in these stocks. But what do you see as like what do you think is as investment strategy, like looking like you're looking to the future, but like when you analyze stocks, like how far ahead out do you look?
Um, well, first, if the people don't know, Peloton, that's like the bikes, right? But
Yeah.
it's like a cycle for your house for the workout, and you get like a virtual
Mhm.
experience with it, pretty much,
You
right?
have a
That's what it is.
screen. Yeah, you have like a
Right,
screen, like a computer screen, and the instructor guides you through there, and they're getting all these
right,
people subscribing into one session.
right. So that's that and that's important because that's flourishing right now because gyms weren't open. I think they recently opened somewhere, some places rather. So now things like that. Now more people are working out at home. So Peloton happens to be in the right time, right place, right time.
Mm.
Um, and they you said it jumped from 59 to 109.
They raised the price target nearly double
Right,
today. Wall Street analysts
right.
raised the price target on Peloton this
So
week.
for me, it's definitely going to be probably almost a year out. As I'm going to look like 12 months. I'm going to look
Mm.
out for the year because you don't want to be a finicky investor. You want to make sure you're in it and you ride the whole wave. People forget you ride it till it goes down, and then on the come up, that's when you pretty much that's when wealth is made. But I would say, like I said, like a year out is probably average on what I look. Maybe 6 months for some you could tell. But especially in the new market, I think definitely the safe bet is probably 12 months.
I would say 100% because as I've been watching the stock market and trying to figure it out myself, I'm noticing these things are priced in about 12 to 18 months out. Every time a stock moves, they're based out, like you said, it was 6 months, but with this new type of market we have now, things are priced in. It's going to happen in 18 months. They price in today. That's one to keep in your mind when you're looking at stocks. You probably when you're going to buy a company, you want to not buy the company on based on where it's going to be tomorrow, but what do you think that company is going to be in 12 to 15 months out from now?
Right. No, you're definitely right. That so do you see other like a company like Peloton? You see what that's doing. Do you foresee another company in the fitness genre coming up and sort of competing with something like that?
That's very interesting you say that because the same analyst that rose the price to 59 to 109, they asked him the same question: what's to stop another company from doing the same thing with a cheaper product? That's always the risk of investing in these companies.
Got you. Got you. That makes sense.
Or will like a big company like Amazon or like Apple create their own version of this? Yeah, that's always like something you have to keep in the back of your mind. Is and a lot of investors do, which actually affects how the stock fluctuates because if the institutions think like Peloton can be wiped out by like Amazon can develop their own version, or Apple or Microsoft of Peloton at a cheaper price and wipe them out, institutions might not buy into those companies. When institutions don't buy into a company, all you have is retail investors now, and that's not going to give you as much volatility because the institutions are the whales. And like on a day like today where the market corrected, that's the whales cashing out their big earnings, and that's why you see like the Dow drop 1,000 points because the big whales are
Mm,
cashing out. Once they lose, hope in like a company like Peloton, and they pull out, that's when that stock, goes under. That's why sometimes it's good to start with, keep a foundational portfolio of the big companies, the whales, like
Right.
and the FANGs that we've talked about before.
Okay. I mean, that's probably we're not going to say the safe bet, but that's always the way you should play.
Yeah,
Sort of
maybe
play
start like a foundation in that, and then have some side money where maybe you buy some Peloton or, more riskier plays. Because that just went public like within a year, so they're a fairly new company, and they've
right.
nearly doubled during these times.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. I think so. Peloton's the future for sure.
Well, that brings me to another conclusion, because like the last day you have a major sell-off, like a company like DocuSign, they were at like 220. They reported great earnings and great guidance the other day. Stock went up to 280. Today it went back down to 216. So it's like you have to ask yourself, was it oversold? Because if the guidance is good and the earnings were good and now it's back down to 216, there's a possibility you can buy a 216 and go back up to 300, so you get that run.
How if I'm a new investor and I want to sort of and I'm jumping in the market and these are the numbers that I'm seeing. How do you think a younger or a newer investor should think about navigating? Maybe not exactly, but how should they navigate those kind of situations?
Me personally, if I was jumping in now and I had no money in the market and I seen something like that, it go from 280 to 216 overnight, I would probably take a risk and buy 1 or 2 shares of DocuSign, because
Mm,
like they're a great company for these times we're in.
right. I mean, I totally agree with you, and I think that you definitely have to be more savvy now with how you think about companies and how they're going to run in the future. I think a lot of companies are going to run different, and a lot of companies will come out of this. Like new companies will emerge out of this situation. So I think it's important to make. I think it's important to make sure that if you see a certain dip, like you said, in the investment, I think that's when you get in and you try to ride it up as much as it can to the top, or to wherever the pinnacle is going. I think people try to jump in and out too quick sometimes.
Of course.
I think that happens. Yeah.
I mean, this is a risky time, but it could be a rewarding time. Like you see, interest rates are low, so a lot of investors are pulling their money out of bonds and buying stocks, which is driving the market up. As well as before the pandemic, you had about 10% of retail investors in the market, which retail just means people like us who we don't put our money with an institution. We buy in stocks like on our own app on our phone, like they say the Robinhood investors.
Okay.
So that was 10% before the pandemic. Now you have 25% of investors are retail. So you have all this money going into the stock market. So, but it's like the stock market, it hit new highs, but it hit these same highs back in February 18. It's kind of been going down, going up. So, could this time be a breakthrough? So maybe you think you're buying at all-time highs, but they could be tomorrow's all-time lows, because it could be a breakthrough. So it's good. I think it's a good idea to buy these dips. I would say, yeah, Microsoft dip. All those companies are down. Big tech's down. Yeah, I'd say take a little risk, buy 1 or 2 shares, or you want to buy 10 shares, 20 shares. Days like today where the market dips is, I think it's a good buying opportunity, considering unemployment numbers were down for what they were last week. So you have to look at the whole economy, 12 to 18 months out in each company. Like if you're going to buy like a company like Tesla, you want to see what you think is going to be good in 18 months, buy a couple of shares at their split. Or
Right.
Apple coming out with the iPhone 12 soon.
Right. Well, now that, and well, good segue too. Now that we're talking about the splits, do you want to? Should we break down what does that even mean? Like, what is the 4-1 Apple and Tesla split mean, and how does that work for investors? How does that work for people who are invested in those companies already, or people that now want to get in after the split?
That's actually a great question. Well, if you had, let's just say you had one share of Tesla and you had it was worth $2,000, that split to five. Now you have five shares at $400. So as an investor, I would look at it like if I was to buy one share at 400, at let's say 450, I would times that by five and figure I'm buying at whatever that was that like 2250 or so. I think
Yeah.
I'm buying in there. Like, do I think it's gonna go to 3,000? You know, then it's a good buy.
No, I agree. I agree. I agree with what you're saying. I, and so I think that, and that's what people got to understand. If you had a certain amount of stocks, they pretty much broke it down. They broke down the pie more and made the value of each part of the pie less than what it was. But I think people sometimes get confused and they think it might be now I got four at the original, the original price. That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
You're breaking down the same pie. Like you
Right.
order a pizza pie. It has 8 slices. You get a double cut. You have 16. It's the same
Right.
amount of pie.
Or if you get 32, it seems like it's it seems like this. But you're just chopping up the same pie. So that's what they did. But how does that work for people who are in it, and how does that work for people who want to get in now that it's split?
I mean, the people in it, they did good these last couple of days because it split Monday and both of those stocks ran up crazy. But today, the last 2 days, those stocks are on a dip just as a result of the overall market, selling off in the tech category.
Right.
So you could get in at Apple, I think, at a pretty fair price right now. And you don't have to spend $500. You can buy one share for $150. So, and analysts are saying that Apple can still be a good buy, even at this $2 trillion evaluation. Apple can still be a fairly good buy at this price.
Well, we know Apple. Apple's one of those. Apple's one of the staple whales. That's one of them. That's not going anywhere. So I think I personally would always look at Apple if nothing else. I'm always looking to see what they're gonna do.
You buy one share Apple at 150, it goes to 500, split again. You have 4 or 5 shares of Apple that you paid 150 for, and now they're worth $600.
Right.
And
right.
You have your one turns to 4 because they're known to split, so
right.
they probably split again.
Right. I agree with that, and I'll take the 4-1. I'll take the 4-1. I'll take it. And if you're an investor, you'll take it too. It's definitely I think more the positive side. It's more the positive side really right now. At least for right now, it's more the positive to do that, and probably forever, or for a long period of time.
This is Tesla's first split. What if you buy it at 400? It goes to 2,000 again. Now you have 5 shares again at 400.
Right.
I mean, where else are you going to make that type of return on your money?
Right. And pay attention. People should go back and pay attention to a stock like Tesla, because few months ago it was a whole different story as far as price, and now to where it's gotten, that's like one of the indicators of the market and where things are going. Pay attention to the company and what he was doing and what it was doing. That pretty much shows you. And then look where they at right now.
That's good you said that, because some of the big bullish people on Tesla, like ARK Investment, is saying they seen this company when it was at $200. They were seeing what they're doing for the future. They were saying it was worth 1,000, 2,000 then. The only reason why it jumped so fast is people didn't realize that earlier. But once they realized this company could be worth $1,000 a share, that's when it went from 300 to 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000 because they were sleeping on it before.
Definitely a sleep, which is crazy to think about that one as a sleeper at this point, because some people did see it back then. Some people didn't know back then.
It's crazy, like, to young investors like us who see more technology and like we kind of see things like the world like that. These Robinhood investors, I don't think they care about evaluations. Like when the old timers are looking at like PE and like earnings, they're thinking you're ridiculous. This price is not worth $1,000. But us young investors that come and we're looking at it like this can be worth $4,000 in a couple of years. So we see things different than the old way of investing because we're a new generation of investors. So we're
Right.
actually analyzing companies different.
Right. Well, that also benefits any employment sector. If you got to infuse it with young energy. You got to have young energy in there to get new eyes to see, like what you're saying. Okay, you guys are complaining at 1,000. I'm seeing it as 14,000 eventually. You know, so I'll buy it. Meanwhile, in that market, it's been sitting there and it seems stale to them. But you got to build out of what's going on. So that's the reworking of not only the stock market right now, but the real estate market, the job market. All of it's revamping itself and resetting itself to I don't know. It's calibrated differently now. All three of those sectors: the job, the work sector. Can't remember the other two I said, but those are all calibrated differently now. Now the reset has begun, and you gotta think differently and definitely more far ahead. Definitely more far ahead.
Also, another thing that actually popped up on my radar this week is Bill Ackman, the well-known billionaire, is saying that he's suggesting that it should be mandatory for investing accounts for every new child born to combat wealth inequality and make wealth more across the board, which I agree with 100%. But I think it's going to be kind of hard to get the government to, fund every child born in our country, especially during these economical times. But I think the parent with fractional shares and things like that, parents can educate themselves and kind of start small. With a fractional share, you can start with $5-10 a week, put something away for their kids. I think it's our job as people to maybe start thinking like, what can we do to make future generations be more economically stable after, kind of what's going on now.
No, you're 1,000% right. You definitely gotta and that could even and see what you just said right there, that could even build another industry, because if the parents could start teaching their kids more economic stuff, maybe parents could start turning those side hustles into actual corporations and companies, and now you have it the way you want it to be. And now that investment that was made into the child, that has grown, because now you can add more to that. And so now, but at least the idea is there. Like you have an idea, like you come in and I have a set amount that's going to grow. No matter what else I do, this amount is going to grow. I think that's important, and I would love something like that to happen. But you're right. I think that's hard. That would be a hard ask right now from the government during these times. I just don't. With the budget so up in arms just across the board everywhere, the budget is the budget, and we still don't know when we try to get the engine fully on, are we still flying at the same altitude? We don't know that yet. They haven't hit us. So once we see all that, then we'll be able to really determine things. But certain companies are just, when you're tech, they're going to be around. There's going to be more of it, actually. That's going to be where the jobs are.
Especially starting with a newborn child, like they have all the time in the world for that $5 to compound interest, which is like even Einstein compound interest is the formula of the world that he can figure out. So with a child, $5-10, that compound interest over 30 years, the child can be wealthy by 30 just off small investment throughout the years with the
it's
compound.
True. It's definitely true, especially if we get, and I think it will happen once the economy sort of stabilizes a little bit more, and we could see what. But I think we're even gonna have to see like what wealth is again. Like what is it to be wealthier now in the new? What does that mean? How much money do you need for like this virtual Zoom, business online? How much do I need to do that? Is it less? Is it gonna be more? Are they gonna add certain stipulations to it? Are they gonna, just trying to think ahead? That's what I'm trying to see, because I think things will change, but they're gonna find a way to, there'll be regulations on it.
That's funny you said that, because one of the guys, shout out to downtown Josh Brown from CNBC. He's a
Okay.
funny guy. He's actually very smart. But he was saying this week we got to stop this stay-home economy. It's becoming a work from anywhere economy. Like, it's kind of the new way of the world. This virtual boom. Like, he's saying that half his employees been working remote even before the pandemic. So
Smart man.
Anyway economy. It's a whole new world.
Now I like that because I think that's the way of the world now. I think the way of the world at very best, it'll be a mixture of cats work from home and cats, and people go out to work. I think it'll get to almost like 50-50, which is a lot if you think about it. 50% of the people like stay home and do their own thing all online. But I think it can be done. I think they're setting up tools now that will handle that, that will be able to handle that, whether it's the bandwidth or, whatever you need for the computer run smoothly so you can have a whole operation out of your house. All that I think will be in due time. There'll be the technology for it. And then you could still choose to maybe go back to certain things will still be around in person. You'll still have some in-person things, but I think there'll be definitely more, it'll definitely be more of a hybrid. We'll have like a hybrid society, like half stay home, half, I don't know what you want to call it, social, half stay home, half social, like job.
You'll have like the option.
Yeah, you'll have the option. Like, all right, that's like on your job application. You want to stay home job, or do you want a social? Nah, I think I'm gonna choose to stay home. So I think that's where it's going, and I think that'll be an interesting revelation.
Yeah, and being that we're on the topic of Bill Ackman and starting portfolios, Bill Ackman actually he made what's called the blank check company, which means that he started a company that's going to acquire a company, which is called the SPAC. But he's setting up his company to favor investors, and you can get in that stock at $27.45 right now for the long hold. Because what he's doing, so he has his company, he's going to acquire a company, but he's really looking for that future company. So if he acquires the right company, I mean, that stock's going to go through the roof. So I think, so you can invest in, you can start with your child's born, you buy one share of Pershing Square, it's $27.45. But he's a newborn baby. He's not even going to know about that money for 20 years. So if they acquire the right company, who knows how much the $27 can be in 20 years from
now. And it can only be good. It can only be good because the other option is what? You didn't have that and you have nothing. So it can only be good. You're not going to be in the red. You're not going to be in the red with it. It's not something you could lose on. So it's always a good idea to have it. It's a policy that should be there. But like we said, we got maybe we that's a conversation about how do we fund it truly directly through the people, and how do you make sure every kid has the opportunity to at least have some sort of investment in the market, because you definitely should. Something that's interest bearing. You need to have where there's money in it and it's making you money. That's the only way you're going to be okay. You got to have money that's making money. Simple as that.
Yeah, and it's funny, like another trend I see, like today you see, it's funny the way the market fluctuates. Like tech is down, but then you see like Carnival Cruise is up today. So it's funny how it goes from like tech was high valuations, then it goes back to like airline and Caribbean cruise and these things that are at a low evaluation. So it's funny how like on the day where like airlines are down, tech is up. Tech is down, airlines and cruise is up. So people are just moving their money back and forth. So you can do some of those plays and maybe make yourself a little bit of profit as well.
That's a good point. And you kind of see that. That's absolutely what's going on right now. It's either you're trying to figure out a way to join the technological online business world, or what's the other one you said?
Like, because like tech is at high valuations, but then you see like travel,
airlines,
they're low evaluations now, so they could be future growth possibly, depending on how everything plays out.
It kind of makes sense though, because like people could be remote and like live or travel now. You know, I could go to the islands right now and do my job from there. Yeah, I can. I have the option to do that now. Some people could do that. Some people definitely have left. Some people have left definitely the country for the year. Their job probably let them just zoom in once in a while and check your stuff, and that's it. You can live anywhere now. So that has been opened up for sure. We're definitely more global now. We're probably as global as it's been. We're probably as global as it's been right now. As far as how we connected.
Which leads to the next topic, because now we're going to see a lot of these companies are cloud-based. Nothing that caught my radar was actually today Pentagon is saying that Microsoft might be the best value for their Jedi Cloud project coming up, which can be very big for Microsoft's company. They were actually going against Amazon. It looks like Microsoft might be the company that the Pentagon's going to use for their cloud services.
So that's a big deal. So basically that Jedi Cloud that the Pentagon is going to use is the equivalent to your Apple iPhone iCloud that you use to store information. Is that the basics of what that is?
That's what it looks like to me. They haven't released too much information, but that's
probably though.
I see it. Yeah, exactly.
There's going to be a hub to hold the information where it's not stored like maybe on a device per se. It's just 100%. Right. So that's a big deal. But first of all, just for the fact that people got to pay attention to the fact that look at the two companies that are vying for contracts, Microsoft and Amazon. Those are that's stuff you got to pay attention to right there. That kind of stuff. How do they even get to the front of the line to be able to vie for a contract for the technology for a Pentagon iCloud, which is crazy. I think about the information that's in that. They got to trust so much with that. So for Amazon and Microsoft to be even in the running for it, that tells you a lot about those two companies.
I mean, that's kind of, what they say, winners keep winning. That's why I always go back to the watching the fans, because it seems to be winners keep winning. Like Facebook to 220, I bought a couple of shares and then boom, went up to 300. The winners keep winning. I mean,
right. And Facebook's Facebook's not going anywhere either. Facebook seems to be pretty good.
Exactly. So, I was like, people like us, we're starting a business now. We started the Instagram page. People's Economy follow us.
Right.
But how many other companies did that? So it's like, and plus they own WhatsApp. So we're all on WhatsApp during these times. I mean, how can that company not grow?
Right.
I mean,
you're definitely right. I mean, people are literally operating businesses off apps, like just off different apps. That's how literally you're running. A lot of money is funneling through that, right now. A lot of money, but it's possible. The sector's been there. I think we've talked about in the past how companies' leadership, how the structure of it looks. That's all affected by this sort of open market. How we just started an Instagram page, and you come in and you like do your own marketing, you do your own promotion, you do you do your best work, go through the trial and errors. That's something that was not even available to people years ago. Now you have that. It's almost like you could go to Hollywood now. Like it's like going from your couch. Literally now I get to just try out for a Hollywood film, and I could just try and see if I make it to Hollywood. That's how open the market is. You could be in your house and and eventually hit something and find your niche product or service that you sell or whatever things that you talk about, and that could literally run off internet, social tech, the tech market. It's not going anywhere.
That actually reminds me now. Look, we're using Zoom right now to do this video, but if you look on the 28th, Zoom went from $299 to $457 when they released earnings. I mean, that's a ridiculous run. Just an example of how these new technology companies are being like, people are using them. They're more efficient than ever right now. And these numbers are growing like ridiculous amounts, like Peloton, Zoom. These stay-home companies, their subscribers are growing at outrageous numbers.
Right. Do you foresee that taking do you foresee, let's say in the next 6 months as we go through wintertime and holiday season? Do you foresee that sort of trend rising more? Does it plateau? Where do you think it's kind of going?
Well, I'll tell you this, one of my mentors bought Zoom after that run up. He bought Tesla after the split.
Mm,
So with his
mm,
skills of analyzing companies and his run that he's had, I mean, that's a pretty good sign that he believes in those companies.
yeah, for sure.
Winter, more people are going to stay home, probably more Zoom in the winter, more WhatsApp.
Right.
People are going to be communicating each other for the holidays too. They want to call their loved ones, maybe get on conference calls with their loved ones.
Yeah,
I can only see it benefiting those companies more.
it definitely is. I think Zoom goes up, WhatsApp starts doing more than, things like that. So people start to do that more. You're definitely going to stay home because usually it's wintertime is stay home anyway, kind of, even when it's not what's going on. It's usually more stay home. Now, though, this time would be more stay home. So I think those who have set up sort of for online presence, you're probably gonna get, especially in like let's say retail, they're gonna have good time if you got an online market for this winter. You're gonna be the new. You'll be able to open a brick and mortar off the holiday season if you do it the right way in the retail sector, if you do it the right way. And that's something that was not there, because they're even creating jobs around it, to sort of do more online, marketing or digital sales, digital this. There's so many digital jobs now that were not around literally 4 to 5, 6 months ago.
100%. I heard that even Amazon is they're growing so fast, they're offering people their own business, their own house. Like they're letting you take these 10 trucks and do these routes. You just have to buy into it's going at a rapid rate. This
Wow.
e-commerce stuff.
Wow. Well.
With it.
I mean, if Amazon didn't have the perfect, just service, they didn't have the perfect system for what is going on right now, I don't know who does. They're set up pretty lovely, and they were before. So some things just hit, and that was one of the things that hit. But they had they even had it down to the we'll get it to you. They had their warehouses. I mean, it's pretty brilliant, and that brilliance is going to win in this new economy. Brilliance will win. Creativeness will win. You got to be that way.
Yeah, two things on Amazon. Actually, they just were approved this week for drone delivery.
They've been trying that. They've been trying to get at that for a while.
Yeah, so that's pretty big, right?
That's big. That's very big, actually. That's a very big one. That's not a small thing. Okay, and what's the other one?
The other one is the gentleman I talked about, my mentor. He says if Amazon doesn't split, he sees it going to $10,000 a share in the future.
Wow, that's not far-fetched though. Not far-fetched. It's not. If you just think about it, it's such a conglomerate, man. It's big. It's big. So it's really just good business. That's what it is. It's good business. That's what it is. That's what it's done. Amazon can definitely get up to 10, maybe even more than that. You never know. That's why I try to buy in early, or even buy smaller amounts just to get in. Maybe gold too. Speaking of that, like, do you think it's what do you think about we obviously know you can buy into, like, let's say a stock gold on the market and silver and all that, but what do you think about physical gold and silver and all that kind of things, and maybe just more material, tangible investments in general, I guess? What do you think about that going into the future, I guess?
That's a good question. I think that's a great idea. I actually talked to this guy at Starbucks yesterday that, I've seen him regularly. I know him. I've seen him once in a while. He was telling me he really is faithful on silver. He says if you buy a silver now at $33 and that coin was up to $300, I mean, look at the profit you make. And it's not like currency or paper or a stock,
right,
that in your possession.
Right. It feels good. It feels good to see a silver bar You just have a bar of silver. But I think like you said, that's something to have. That could even be part of the whole with the kids and giving them the bonds. You could give them physical. It could be a combination thing. They could really get creative with it if they really wanted to. But I think that the idea of having physical gold and silver and just things that maybe appreciate in general or have the potential to, because you're never going to go wrong having like gold and silver. You're never going to be, it's not bad to have it. It's not bad to have any of it. It's just how much is it going to go up? That's what you don't know. But you're not going to lose by having it. You definitely won't lose having it. You might need it.
Yeah, I think it's a great investment.
It definitely is. It definitely is. I mean, if not companies, but if an entity like Bitcoin could start really gaining traction and be, sort of its own thing, that just tells you right there the market is different. It's open, and there's nothing wrong with having a little physical gold too. Remember that people had that back in the day. That was something people had. That was the backing to all the paper at one point, but we've gotten past that. But sometimes it's like going old school. That's the old school, and there's nothing wrong with some old school sometimes.
No, I mean that's diversifying,
Right.
diversification.
Right. Diversification. Yeah. I think that's right. That's pretty much. If you do a lot of things, the idea is something or a couple things will get you income or get you a stream that you could at least build off. Maybe not live off, but build off. But eventually you could live off, definitely. But gold and silver, and just do your research though. Do your research on it. But gold and silver, I think, are something to look into, and it never hurts to have too much. There's no such thing as too much.
Yeah, that's another thing about playing the markets, because it's like they say, you could diversify, but then some young investors, they may miss out on, high risk, high reward, because like you can buy all these things, buy gold, buy this, and appreciate slow, or you can luck out on like a stock and put like 20,000 in one stock, it go to 100,000. So it's like each individual has to ask, like, how do they want to, like, what's their vision for their investment plan? Like, what do they want to be, high risk, low risk? Do they want to appreciate slowly? Like, what is each
Right.
individual? People need to ask, so what is their individual investment plan, and then build, some diversification around that.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. Like you said, the word of the day is diversification. If you do, if you put a little bit of eggs everywhere, but don't put all your eggs in one basket, some of them will come back. But the market, even though I think people, especially a new investor, shouldn't be discouraged too much by what the market did, especially like now, the recent market. I think you should still look at it as a learning experience. It's a learning, not a loss. It's not a loss, it's a learning. And this is the wave that people should actually pay attention to. When things are kind of down, that's when it's time to really educate yourself and focus on what you're trying to buy.
I mean, yeah, that's so overall, like portfolio managers, they say, the younger you are, the more risky you can be. So it depends on where you're at in life too. Because if
Right.
you're like 25 years old, you risk it all. What do you have to lose? That's
Right.
why if you look at like a professional portfolio, like the younger you are, you be more stocks. The older you get, your portfolio will go more bonds and gold to kind of hold on to your money.
Right.
When you're young and you want to, you want to go for that money, I say do a couple of risky plays. What do you have to lose?
No, that's true. That's true, especially if you're young. That's how you learn. And you'll learn if you play it the right way. Your learning experience could be very, very, very beneficial to you financially if you do it the right way. But even if not, it's a learn. It's a learn, because it's one of those things where if you're not in it, you don't know. You got to be in it. You just got to be in it. Take a risk. But it is usually an age thing or where you're at in life type thing. How big of a risk you're willing to take. Younger people in general just take bigger risk in life. Period. So that reflects in the market. It'll be the same thing. They're the ones taking the risk at some of these, more people would say volatile stocks. Some they might be looking at something and just say, I'm just gonna buy a lot and see what happens. And if I lose it, it is what it is. I'll find money somewhere else because they can. I mean, the younger generation could like literally like find money. Like they're just able to on their phone just find it. You know, they could find it. They have a different skill than probably if you're born in the 90s, you have a different skill than the 80s, the late 70s and 80s kids. You have a different skill than 90s kid. You're born in 97. You know how to use that phone a little differently than your older, you know, the older generation, and you could find a way. Whereas we're still stuck in that, you know, the traditional where you do invest, but then you work a job and you do the regular 9-to-5 job and you invest and you try to hopefully try to grow it. I think the young kids, they're way more up to speed. They're way more faster at losing and coming back up. I think that what the younger people got to focus on too is how to keep it. I think they know how to get it and it's like there, but then they spend it. You got to know how to keep a lot of that too. You got to keep some of that to the side. Have your fun, but you got to keep some of it too. Don't just know how to get it and then spend it and just runs through your account. Make sure some of that stays in your account.
Yeah, because they'll be like, you know, they're like real like versatile. They'll go out do Uber Eats, DoorDash,
Right.
take the money, go to the Robinhood app,
Right.
like then go to Instagram and sell a product, do a Shopify
Right.
store, like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All that. They got all of that. They're doing all the things you said. Some of them got the Shopify store. They're definitely doing Uber Eats. They do regular Uber. They do some online something where they do something. You know, they got something there, and they got like a job too. So, and I'm not mad at it. It's just that's their blueprint. I think you just gotta learn how to harness it to wealth. You got to channel it into like riches and wealth.
Like we discussed, like before, with those times people were like, "Oh, that's just side hustles," are kind of left upon. That's kind of coming out of this thing. That's kind of the new way we all have to be moving forward. Like we have to be more adaptable and more versatile.
That's a fact.
And more open-minded, different ways to, you know, create an income.
No, that's a definite fact. You definitely got to have. If there's one thing you should have learned over this let's just say the year, for the whole year, is that you definitely got to be on top of your business, and you got to have another stream. Like, so whatever your main thing is that you pay your bills on, or that's how you live off. You should be working on something or have something that supplements that income. However much it brings in, just something that you never know. We could just save it. You could just save that money. Maybe that money, you just save it and you live off what you usually been living off. But I think I think it's almost, you're going to have that second online store. You're going to have something that's digital, that's from that world.